Today I'm going to review the LYNWO Smart Bracelet. It is a fitness band tracker thing that can do a little bit more than your average tracker wristband, at least a lot more than my wife's FitBit Flex. I wore both of them for a couple days just to do a comparison, and well, it's hands down the LYNWO is the winner here. So first, let me show you what the Fitbit can do. It is a pedometer and supposedly a sleep tracker. It's got your plastic band. It's got the Fitbit itself snaps out like that, and so you have this little tiny tracker thing that is the actual device. This is just a rubber band basically with a metal clasp on it, and it snaps in like that. Oh, other way. And as you can see from a few, it's starting to tear the band there. So that's kind of a design flaw in my opinion. And the sides have gotten a little mushy too. When it's tracking, basically all you can do is you double tap it, and it shows you that I am about halfway to my goal of wherever many 10,000 steps or something. And about the only other thing that it can do is it can vibrate at a specific time, which you have to set through the app. So, I'm going to toss that aside and we'll look at the LYNWO. It doesn't need to be tapped to do anything. The silver strip on here, which kind of has a heart rate line, is a touch sensor, so you just barely press it and the screen will come on for a few seconds. Each time you press it, it goes through different menu options. So let's start off with the time and date, how many steps I've taken today, how many miles that works out to, how many calories I've burned. It can actually do a blood pressure reading and heart rate reading using the green LEDs underneath. It shows that I supposedly got 9.5 hours of sleep last night. I doubt that. And let's see, what else have we got? We can change the screen rotation, find my phone, or just turn the band off. And go back around to clock, battery, date, time. The fit of this is actually a bit better than the Fitbit. If you notice, it's got a loop on here, and what that does is it keeps the underside band from shifting side to side. I found that with the Fitbit, the slack on here would shift side to side like this, and it would snag the hairs on the back of my wrist, and that was pretty annoying, even when I had it a little looser. Another thing is that I noticed, I have kind of small wrists, but when I had the Fitbit on, I tended to have it set here. Well, the LYNWO, set to the same size, had like 4 more holes compared to the Fitbit, so it could fit even smaller wrists than the Fitbit could. So that's another advantage there. So Fitbit doesn't tell time. LYNWO does. Another nice thing is I'll let it turn off. Okay, so let's just pretend I was wearing it and I pick it up. The screen just turns on by itself. I did not touch the touch sensor. So, so there you go. It can just turn on automatic, shut off by itself, and save battery. It looks like this battery will last all week without needing to be charged. So to charge it with the Fitbit, what you do is you take this guy out, and then you have to go and find your charger cable, which is stupidly short, and then you can see some contacts on here, and it snaps in like that, and then you plug it into your USB, whether it's a laptop, power bank, whatever. Okay, so you have to keep track of that little cable. With the LYNWO, you don't have to keep track of a cable. All you do is you snap the band off, which is very snug, turn it over. Those gold contacts are the USB plug. So you just take your power bank or whatever and plug it straight in, and that starts charging it. So there we go. That's all there is to it. Same thing for changing bands. You can just snap those off. The other side's just blank. It does come with 2 different bands, so everybody will get the black one, and then you can choose what other color you want. I chose blue. Looks like we got purple, blue, kind of a yellow, lime green, orange, red, and then the black that everyone gets in there as well. You do get 2 bands, that's why it's got 2 windows in there. So you're not seeing that upside down. This is how it will look when it's snapped together on the tracker. It will have opposite colors like that, and then the inside is just solid whatever color you choose. So it would go on like so. They go on real easy. They don't come off real easy. That's good. That means you won't lose it. So there it is. You can put it either way. It doesn't really matter. Whatever's comfortable for you. Okay, one other thing I forgot to touch on is the user guide. Oh yeah, great. It's in Chinese, right? Wrong. Flip it over. It's in English, and it's actually pretty good English. It goes over the features with screenshots and icons. It has you a QR code to go get the app, or you can just go to Google Play or App Store and search for H-Band. First we'll look at the Fitbit app. And both trackers are still on. Obviously it hasn't synced since this morning when I first got up. So I have to click the sync button up here and say, oh, I can't, your sync has been scheduled and we'll start soon. Well, I don't know when it's going to sync. It thinks I have a high heart rate. That's interesting since I'm not wearing it. Okay. Well, the Fitbit doesn't want to sync, so let's go over to the app for the, and that synced right away, as you saw the number jump up. So it shows 6,442 steps. Just like you can see, I skip over to the sleep section, 9.4 hours. So, and it's again reading data. So today, apparently the highest peak in a short amount of time is 1,000 steps. It shows your sleep patterns, and you can click that for more detailed information. How many times you woke up, how many times you had deep sleep or light sleep, that sort of thing. I don't know how accurate that really is. Apparently the night before my sleep quality wasn't quite as good. I only got 7 hours of sleep, and but I didn't wake up at all. So 2 hours of deep sleep, almost 5 hours of light sleep. So if you're into that sort of thing, tracking your sleep, that is good. So it also can track your heart rate throughout the day. I work at home. I stay at my desk a lot, so it's not really going to show much. I'm not really sure what that 103 is or the 97. I can't remember doing anything in particular really stressful around that time. So anyhow, that's where we are. It shows color codes and different icons and whatnot. You can chart your blood pressure as well. Apparently it didn't map it for today, but if I go to yesterday, it had one entry. And that's it. I've only had it 2 days, so and then you can actually command a heart rate test or blood pressure test, which you can also do directly on here. You just go over to the blood pressure section or the heart rate section, and it immediately starts reading. And if you wait a minute, it'll give a reading, but since I'm not wearing it, it won't. You can also track your running. It says no running history yet. Please start to run now. I don't feel like running right now. And then you can go into your settings. So your device, it goes by the Bluetooth Mac. It shows you how much battery it has left. You can choose what notifications you want the wristband to show. You can have it notify you on phone calls and messages. Those are turned on by default. WeChat, QQ, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, Line, Instagram, Snapchat, Skype, and other apps. I found other apps to be a bit problematic because every single thing that ever possibly made a notification would buzz the wristband. It would make the wristband vibrate and show a notification. So I turned off the other apps. Here, H-Band is the app that is used for the LYNWO fitness band. Unfortunately, it seems to have this persistent notification that I can't get rid of, and for me that's annoying. I try and keep my screen as minimal as possible up there, so there's as few distractions as possible, but this never goes away. You could probably go into the app information and disable notifications and say, oh yeah, that's going to break it and all this stuff, and then come back out, and now the notification is gone. So that's one way to get rid of it, but probably not recommended. But you can still get into the app through a shortcut or whatever. Anyway, coming back to the settings menu, alarms. You can set whatever alarms you want, and at those times the wristband will start to vibrate and until you touch the sensor. I think it'll vibrate a couple of times, like 2 or 3 seconds at a time, and then it'll wait about 10 or 15 seconds, and then it starts buzzing again. It woke me up actually very nicely without having an alarm clock, so that was nice. Out-sit setting. I'm guessing that's for if you're sitting down too long, because I have had it go off and just buzz, and it shows that same icon on the screen when I've been sitting still too long at my desk, for example. The heart rate alarm, I guess you could say you can specify a number for your heart rate, and if it goes above that, I guess it buzzes and shows the heart rate. Actually, it shows a heart with an up arrow. I'm going to turn that off because it just kept going off for no reason. Turn the wrist. That's where if you do this, it turns on. That's pretty simple. I do like that. I'm going to keep that on. Pairing device, that, well, I guess you'd have to have that on to be able to use it. BP private mode, what that is, setting your personal tailored BP mode to obtain more accurate data. Set your accurate blood pressure value without taking hypotensors. Yes, if you take any kind of blood pressure medications, then they want you to find out your blood pressure using an actual cuff and then put that in here. I am actually pretty regular. I tend to stay around 110/80, 110/70, somewhere around that area. But I don't really care about it that much for this. This is just for fun right now. Switch setting. Wear detection, so I guess if you're not wearing it, it will use the sensor underneath to tell. And then heart rate automatic monitoring. It seems like about every half hour it will check your heart rate and record it, and then that's how you get that nice graph. Take photo. You go in there and literally take a photo. You see the photo icon on the wristband. If you shake your wrist, it takes a picture. So that's that could be handy. So if you set your phone up on a tripod somewhere. Reset device password. Right now it's all zeros. I didn't even have to enter that when I synced up the device, so I'm not going to mess with that. And then if you needed a firmware upgrade, it's checking right now to see whether or not there is an upgrade available. And but that's okay. The version is the latest one, so I don't need to worry about that. So that's the app. And you look at yesterday's graph. Didn't walk as much 2 days ago. Well, I had just gotten it, so I only had put it on before bed. so that's the app, as you can see. Not too bad. We can go into here, and it will show you graphs over each date: August 1st, 2nd, 3rd. The 2nd for the sleep. Obviously, I haven't slept yet tonight. Heart rate averages, blood pressure numbers. So, pretty useful information in there. It does allow you to sync with the cloud. And oh yeah, one other thing that I had to do when you first set it up, everything's in metric, and it asks for your name and your height and your weight and things like that. But it's all in metric. For most of the world, that's probably fine, but America still insists on using imperial units. So here's where you would go to change that. You set your unit setting to imperial or metric. And since I'm in the United States, we'll stick with imperial. About us, okay, yeah, that's just the version of the app. And WeRun is a website you can use to track and challenge your friends and that sort of thing, kind of like some of the Fitbit stuff. So, let's go back into Fitbit and see if it decided to sync yet. Hey, it finally synced. So it shows 5,351 steps, which between the 2 days and the 2 devices, they were within a couple hundred steps of each other. So to me, that's accurate enough. This shows the data a little differently. It shows how many hours I had more than 250 steps, as opposed to just little bar graphs that was in the LYNWO app. And then this is the way it shows the sleep. Again, it's just a simple bar graph and a few awake points here and there, or restlessness as they call it. Same thing here, you can show basically your bar graph. So, show your steps. Pretty much the same thing as the other one. The other one I think said 230, 4,000, 5,500, something like that. So that's where we are. The two apps are very similar, just slightly different graphics, but they do basically the same thing. And the wristband themselves are pretty much the same size, same thickness, just barely thicker on the LYNWO, and better band on the LYNWO because it has the loop. The loop is soft enough that it didn't snag anything. It never caught my pockets or belt loops or anything like that. Yeah, it's a great little band. And the best part of all is that this is still like $60 and comes with one band. This is like $30 and it comes with two bands, and you can get a bunch of different colors too. Why would you buy a Fitbit? I don't know. One other thing, let me show you a little bit of a gripe I have about it. Let's say, remember how you can rotate the screen? Well, we hold the button, it buzzes. Okay, so now it's rotated, and now the fonts are totally different. To me, these fonts aren't very readable. The numbers, there's not enough space in between them, and so you can't really read them. However, the 808-03 actually has a dash there, and the PM is plainly visible. So is the Thursday and the little Bluetooth symbol. So the day number, look how close those numbers are there. It almost just looks like a bunch of squares stuck together. There's not enough space in between them. And so, to me, rotated is the only way to use it, because then everything else becomes legible. See, the steps are smaller numbers, but you can read them. There's enough space in between them. And to go back around to the time, 11:42. You can barely see the P there. And then 0803, no dash. It's August 3rd. Thursday's readable, that's fine. They could have used a skinnier font for the 0803 like they did for horizontal mode, but they didn't. So the date is just kind of a jumbled mess to me, but I'll take that compromise over not being able to read this stuff, because that's the whole point of having the fitness trackers, to be able to track your stuff.
So let's talk pros and cons. First, the pros. It's really affordable. You can get it for $30 shipped. It has a comfortable band that doesn't snag your arm hair very much. The screen is actually useful and shows information on demand, so you don't have to open the app all the time to see how you're doing. It comes with two different bands, a simple black one and then a colorful one for dressing up a little bit. You don't need a separate charger cable to recharge the band. I got 6 days of battery life from a 2-hour charge. It's a great app for both Android and iOS. It's got a decent English manual, and it uses Bluetooth 4.0 so that you get good battery life both on the band and on your phone. So let's talk about the cons. The band is not actually waterproof, it's only splash proof, so it'll handle washing your hands and sweat, but it won't handle rain, shower, swimming, bathing, that sort of thing. The screen is too dim to read out in bright sunlight, so you'd have to shade it with your other hand and really squint to be able to see it when you're out there. The fonts on the home screens could use some improvement to make it a little bit more readable. Now I'm kind of nitpicking, and the screen is kind of large. It could get scratched since it's only plastic. And this one's actually kind of a big thing. It's too easy to accidentally reset the device and lose all your tracking data, as well as the time and date, until the next time it syncs up. This is a bug that I think they really should fix. There's more information on this in the full written article on my site. When there are so many choices for fitness bands, there's no reason to overspend. The LYNWO M6 puts a ton of useful features into a tiny package that has great battery life and fully developed software that feels polished, not like a flaky beta. At this point, there's absolutely no reason to pay the premium for name brand trackers like Fitbit.